Hey folks, I'm back. This is Andrew Poole here from Home Theatre Engineering and, of course, Andrew Poole Voiceover. Today, I want to talk about measuring ambient noise levels. Now, there's also a lot of confusion about this, and so I thought I'd go through ways that you can accurately measure this. I've seen a lot of people say that you can use your door, you bring up your DAW, and you just measure with you making no noise, the ambient noise floor. And the problem with that is that if you're using an interface and your door, then it's going to depend how you've got your door set up. Hopefully all your levels are flat, and also you need to have used preferably a calibrated microphone, because that's going to be inaccurate, and also your interface levels with your preamps. If your preamps are not set correctly to some sort of reference or standard, then whatever you get on your DAW is going to be completely misleading. You know, you will have two people measure exactly the same space and you'll get completely different results. So measuring your SPL with an interface and a door is actually not accurate, right? You know, so what we then have to work out is, well, how do we do this accurately? Well, first of all, you need some sort of reference. You need some sort of known microphone with a known response. And in fact, one of the easiest ways to do this, you can either buy calibrated microphones and then attach them to a laptop or an iPad or something like that, or there's a lot of really good apps around now that actually take into account the calibration of your iPhone or iPad microphone. And the iPhone and iPad microphones are actually not that bad. They do have some flaws, but certainly for our purposes, they're good enough. So because I'm an audio calibrator, I use a thing called the HA Audio Toolkit, and I use a bunch of calibrated microphones and some applications and things like that for measuring rooms. But my go-to tool is Audio Tools by Studio 6 Digital. Now, you can download this from the App Store. You don't have to buy the whole suite. That's expensive. But you can just buy some of the in-app purchases. And there's a couple I'd recommend, but for just measuring noise in room, then the go-to one would be the RTA measurement. That's just for doing noise in room, and I'll explain why. So I'm just going to open the RTA on my iPad. Here we go. So this is the RTA. Now I've got this set on average at the moment, and obviously because I'm speaking, it's picking that up. But what we want to do is measure the noise in the room. Now, you may have noticed just over here, there's a bunch of columns. Now, I'm still trying to sort of figure out exactly how best to get my iPad screen onto this live, but suffice to say at the top it says NC65 and down the bottom it says NC15, and it goes up in increments, and you can see the curve moving up the screen. This is a noise criteria curve. This is an industry standard measurement for assessing noise in a space. And it means that we are now comparing apples for apples. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to shut up, which would be a good thing sometimes, and we're going to just measure the ambient noise in here. I've set this to averaging. It's on a third octave, so I'm just going to hit reset and we'll wait for a few seconds and see what happens. Okay, now I've frozen that reading. And if we go across here, we can have a look and see which peak crosses the highest curve. So just here, it's just clipping the NC40 curve, right? So it's probably about NC42 for want of a better description, but let's just use NC40 as a measure. Now, why does this curve move up and down? Well, the reason it moves up and down is because the way we hear and the way we respond to sounds and our sensitivity varies. Right? For these to sound like equal level sounds, we actually have to change the sensitivity to that sound. And that applies whether you're recording or not, because obviously if you're recording and you play back, you're still sensitive to the same sounds. Okay, so I have an NC 42. Now, in a home theatre room of choice or a studio, you actually want it a lot quieter than that. I've got an air conditioner going in the background, I've got a fridge going in the background, and I've got birds outside singing and all sorts of strange things going on. So this room, for these purposes, is probably, you know, not that different to those that many people are actually trying to work in. That's a far better measurement. So if you just download an app like this, or any app that states that it has taken into account the average behavior of an iPad or iPhone microphone, yes, I know there are variations and tolerances, but it's going to put us much closer to the ballpark than anything we've got without going to a very big budget. You can then go off to buy calibrated interfaces and calibrated microphones, which I have, and we can do that. But, you know, for the guy in the street who doesn't make a living doing this, then that's a bit tougher. So I would suggest the RTA app. If you actually want to get a measurable criteria that you can share with others and determine how much ambient noise in the room. If you have a look on Wikipedia and look up noise curves or NC curves, they'll give you a bit more information about how this works. Just to show you how people are sort of doing it at the moment, I'm just going to exit here. I'm going to go to my FFT, the fast Fourier transform, and we're going to take a measurement here, and you will see that we get a very, very different figure. So I'm just going to go quiet. I'm going to hit reset, and okay, so I've paused that now, so obviously it can't hear my voice. And if we have a look here, this would be a really erroneous reading for a room. This is showing 58.3 dBc, right? Now you're probably aware you've got A and C FON curves. So I'm using dBc here. And at the far end of this frequency response, starting from about 250, it actually dips down towards 400, and then it starts to climb up, and about 250 it then starts to climb up. Now the interesting thing is, if we, I'm just going to zoom this out, if we roll off our microphone at, let's say, 100 hertz, just for sake of argument, okay, that's going to be very different. But the software, the SPL is calculated off the sum of this. You know, it's calculated off the entire reading that you have. So if we come down to here, this line here is showing 40 dB, and yeah, I'm just going to increase the resolution for a sec. So let's go to 24th octave and see what's really going on. Reset. Just as a rubbish truck goes past. So you can see now, okay, I'm getting 48.4 there, but the combined sound pressure level of this frequency response is showing at 60.4 dB right at this point in time. All right, so we can see a lot more detail in this. But again, for most of us, if we're doing voiceover especially, we're going to roll that off at somewhere between 80 and 100 hertz. So you can forget all that, and that reading is going to change completely. All right? That's not going to be accurate. So for accuracy, we need to work with a different measurement, and we need to work with the NC20 curve. So we'll do this one more time. In fact, we'll put it on octave here. Reset. So there we go. NC40 is the curve that's punched up high enough. So surprisingly, even though these bass octaves here are higher, they're nowhere near as definable to the human ear as the higher frequency sounds. So relatively for us, the 4K signal is the signal that is predominant in this room for our hearing. Okay, so next time you want to talk about how loud or quiet your environment is, grab an analyzer and a microphone. iPad and iPhone are the best. Find an app that has noise criteria, NC curves, or if you just want to save yourself time, go to Studio 6 Digital, buy the RTA tool, and you get these curves in the tool, and you'll find them, by the way, in the settings here. So you can choose on the right here, noise criteria curves, and you've got all sorts of other curves that we can work with. Okay. So there you go. I hope that's been of some help, and hopefully when it comes to measuring noise in your listening space, this is something that you can talk about more consistently. So if you say to someone, I've got my room down to NC40, and someone says, I've got my room down to NC30, you're going to go, they've done a better job than me, and they've got a quieter room. Okay, and you can also very quickly isolate which of those frequencies are giving you grief. Okay, and just bear in mind, there's no point measuring frequencies that you're never going to record. So anything below 80 hertz, we just can completely disregard. But as you can see, they're not having a massive impact here. Look, I hope this has been useful. I hope that this helps you, especially, some voiceover guys or people who are running home studios and they're trying to work out how loud things are and they're seeing other people post figures on the internet. That's not helpful, guys. You need to have an industry standard. You need a reference level that you can relate to with other people, and this is probably the simplest way to do it. Good luck, have fun with that, and enjoy.